Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome back to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. As always, if you have any questions about today's guest or have recommendations or questions in general in regards to luxury, go ahead and shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup. Really excited about today's guest. Today's guest is, he's all over the place as far as traveling and well-connected, and he's got his finger on different pulses and different markets, so it's going to be a great topic for today's show. And I have with me Brad Inman. Brad, you there?
I am. Greetings. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. A fellow Illinoisan here, and just wanted
There you go.
Want to get your take on the luxury market. The other day I saw you post something, and by the way, if you're listening and you're not a member of the Inman Group, Inman Coast to Coast, I'd recommend it. I believe there's over 17,000 people in that group, and there's just some really great information that's posted there as far as market and mergers, acquisitions, and what's trending, what's not trending in general, not necessarily luxury, but Inmanville, there's Inman Coast to Coast, so make sure you look that up. But I noticed you posted something the other day in Inman Coast to Coast just talking about the luxury market, and Gary Gold, who I've had on this show, chimed in just talking about how the Beverly Hills luxury market's down. I think he said 30%, and some others, put their 2 cents in. What are you seeing out there as, we're mid-year here in 2019, and we're still a few months away from the Luxury Connect conference that you guys host in October?
Well, the two biggest luxury markets in the country, and I don't want to get arrogant bi-coastal here, but we all know it, are New York and California. And LA kind of sucks, to be honest. And New York sucks, like on steroids. And then feeder markets like California, luxury, San Francisco, I just read San Diego's flat and declining. San Francisco is struggling, although there is, a lot of big sales going on. Seattle's having problems. So you can't say the entire luxury market's tanking. As we all know, real estate's very local, and there are many markets doing very well. Texas, Florida, and there is a correlation here to tax. No income taxes seems to be a big factor, and probably are they not only drawing states because they have no income taxes, but the states that continue to have very high income taxes seem to be suffering. So you hear that from brokers and agents that the big problem is taxes, but you also hear a lot about pricing by sellers. And it's definitely the case Gary Gold made. It's kind of lack of communication between buyers and sellers. Sellers pricing too high and buyers not want to making a move to lowball or bid. When Gary's almost suggesting that, I don't think the word lowball came out of his mouth, but so that's a hodgepodge of different sentiment we're hearing across the country. But the luxury market, I think, collectively isn't doing as well as it was a few years ago. And there are even places in Florida that aren't cooking like you might imagine they would do because of the tax situation, which everyone's complaining about.
Yeah, taxes seem to be definitely a common denominator. I was just doing a training down in Coral Gables, Miami, and we were touring. We took a class through a $17.5 million property, and in this case, they brought in concierge auctions to auction off the property, and they ended up canceling the auction just based on the early interest levels. They didn't think they were going to get their number, and so even in some of these hot markets, these ultra luxury properties definitely aren't moving. And you brought up a good point. The East Coast, the West Coast. A lot of times it's a trickle down effect, right? And so if those markets tend to be hot, you'll see other markets, especially in that luxury space, tend to be more of a seller's market. But when they are cold, and you mentioned New York in particular is really cold, there tends to be a trickle down effect, unfortunately, for that as well. And taxes being a big part of it. Now,
exactly.
One
it's
of
not
the things
to say
I wanted.
take Gary Gold. I mean, he's a very opportunistic and very savvy and very organized and together, a high-end luxury realtor, and he's figuring out ways to solve this problem because, all cash is all cash, but the reality is that most luxury buyers still get mortgages and rates are crazy low. And there's a lot of inventory, and sellers are going to have to soften their story. So in one way, there's a huge opportunity for really smart and savvy realtors. But the idea of easy money, all of the dark money has been removed from the equation. We just saw an article today. The Chinese are no longer interested in U.S. property, and that's like a big gulp when you read a story or a headline like that. I'm not sure that's the complete story, but, it is a big gulp that, and then you have all kinds of woes in Russia and all kinds of sanctions and things for so many overseas buyers that it becomes extremely difficult. So you start cutting off these sources, and it's odd, Michael, there's more wealthy people in the United States than ever. So it's not as if, domestically we have a shortage of rich people to buy expensive houses. That's just not the case. But there is a hesitation going on the buy side with the wealthy, and there's we closed the door on the, which I think is a good thing, on the dark money, but we've also closed the door on money that doesn't necessarily fall into that category, but it's coming from countries that are no longer buying in the U.S.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's part of the reason that we recommend to agents that you go to conferences that you guys host, right? Is don't go to where the ball is, go to where it's going, and being just those nuggets you shared, talking about Chinese not as interested in purchasing in the U.S. If you have a high net worth
look around the world. The Middle East is the Middle East, okay, and that's they're so wealthy there with the oil money, but even they started to pull back. But then you go. The Brazilian pipeline to Miami is dead. Brazil's in a world of hurt, and all of South America, except for maybe Chile, is suffering. And then you go to Central America, and you're never a big market anyway, but that's, got a whole bunch of problems. Europe, the economic situation in Europe is very unsteady. Money's moving out of, say, France, but, it's going to Belgium, places close by. And then there's just this overall perception. I was just in Europe, about coming into the United States, and some of it true, some of it not true. But so it is here. It's right here, and the wealthiest people in the world are in the United States. There's more of them. Maybe not the kind of crazy wealth you see in Saudi Arabia, but certainly crazy wealth if you look at Wall Street and Silicon Valley. So, and there's no shortage of realtors doing really well, and there's no shortage of referrals. So like you say, swim in your own pond instead of taking a private jet to Canada to go to some weird lake and look for fish.
Right.
Hey there, it's Michael LaFido. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. If you are interested in signing up for our Luxury Listing Specialist certification, or if you want additional information on how you can dominate selling higher-end homes in your marketplace, make sure you go to luxurylistingspecialist.com.
Well, talk to me a little bit about, for those listeners, they may have attended, but many perhaps aren't familiar with Luxury Connect. That you put together 3 major conferences a year, which I attend. They're great. So in January you have Inman Connect in New York, and so. And then mid-year, you've in the past had it in San Francisco, and this year the Inman Connect is going to be in Las Vegas. The dates of that is July 20.
22nd through the 26th.
Yep. So and that's in Las Vegas, Inman Connect Las Vegas. I recommend that. And then we're talking luxury on this show. You have an amazing luxury conference. I recommend it to everybody. And those dates are October 16th and the 17th. It's at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, which is an amazing venue. And so I've attended the last 3 years your conference and highly recommend it for the listeners that haven't attended. You get to rub elbows with some of the top luxury agents. You get to figure out what's trending, what's not trending, where the market's going, and best practices are freely shared there. Talk to me a little bit about what went into Luxury Connect, and when was the first conference, and there obviously was some sort of demand for it, and what went into that process for you, Brad, and Inman Connect.
Yeah, I think two things, Michael. I think our first one was 4 years ago, and the vision behind it was, there's a new face of luxury. The buyers are different. The sensibilities are different. The styles are different. I say some of the craziness in the Silicon Valley. It's, the bunker is as popular as the villa now. And, so the whole face of design, interiors, has changed. And technology, while not playing as big a role in luxury as the mainstream market, is moving in quickly. It's probably coming in the house first as opposed to coming from the outside, meaning our houses are baked with all the latest technology. I heard someone recently describe it as, when you drive up, you want your house to turn on, and when you leave, you want it to go to sleep. And so there's all kinds of innovations with technology. Our Luxury Connect conference this fall is October 16th and 17th in Beverly Hills. As you said, a great location. And we're going to just, Inman's notorious for just, face it. We tell the truth. We don't sugarcoat it. We're not going to sit there and bullshit about the market. We're not going to sit there and bullshit about how great things are. We find our community in particular, we call it the best and the brightest. They want the truth. They may disagree with us and argue with us and complain and comment, but that honest conversation is what we really stand behind. And it's out of the respect for our customers. We're not preaching to them. Our customers are smart, savvy people. And the people that just want to run around snowing themselves and snowing their customers, they tend not to come to Connect anyway, which is fine. So some of the issues here, we're going to talk about the market big time, what's changing. We're going to talk about, the locations and what's hot and why. We're going to talk about taxes and style and big on marketing. And we're going to have an award ceremony this year for those that have done the best job of marketing a property, whether it be a campaign or an ad or a video or whatever that may be. We're going to have case studies, how to sell a house to Jeff Bezos, to how to sell a villa, to how to sell a bunker, to how to sell some land on Mars, to how to sell a condo on the water in Palm Beach, to how to sell something in Malibu. We're really going to break it down in roundtable discussions with people that specialize in those areas and get, just really eke out the best practices under the circumstances of this market that people should focus on. This conference, more than ever, since the market is suffering, is to just be packed with takeaways. We're not going to be in the clouds. We're not going to be talking about BS that isn't relevant. We really want people to connect with one another so they can get that referral business. And want to give them really, really stand-up, meaningful, useful advice. Buyers and sellers are very, very sophisticated, and our job is to raise the real estate IQ of our community so that they are as smart as the people that they represent.
Well, the roundtable discussions were very helpful last year. I sat at Mauricio Armansky's, and he gave out some great meat and potatoes, great nuggets in just that short little time, and that's something that we really pride ourselves on as well, Brad, is you got that difficult listing. Great. What are best practices to get the darn thing sold? And it sounds like that's what some of the contributors are going to be covering during the Luxury Connect.
Yeah. I mean, those are some of the things I just mentioned. A lot on the market, a lot on the tax and public policy, but how to manage to it. That's a big thing. How do you manage to these circumstances? It's like a CEO goes to a board of directors meeting and says, "Oh, I got a problem." The board's going to fire him because the CEO should come and say, I got a lot of problems, but here's how I'm going to manage to it. So our obligation here is to come to, I'll call it our board of directors, our customers, and say, okay, here's the problem. Let's talk about it. Let's all agree to it. It's this, it's this, it's this. Now, how do we manage to it? How do we get around it? How do we successfully overcome the obstacles and challenges and really dig into it? And as you say, with the really smart people in the industry, years and years and years ago at Connect, someone said to me, Brad, you know how many smart people you have in the audience? And I said, yeah, I think. What do you mean? She said, we have all these smart people in the audience, but you have some goofballs on the stage. You know, the people that can tweet or people that have been at conventions over and over. This is, a dozen years ago. It's what hit me. There's all these smart, bright people out there. So we start putting them on the stage, and that's our absolute commitment to every conference Inman holds is the winners, not the whiners. The winners, not the tweeters. The winners, the people that are successful. I mean, I always told my team, you can hang around the winners, the whiners. My recommendation is the winners. And, not the same old people saying the same old thing because they have a cool Facebook page, but because they've actually sold a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
And that's our commitment to quality.
Well, two things there. I always say you hang out with 9 top producing agents, you're bound to be the 10th, right? So iron sharpens iron.
That's a great
the
way
other
of putting
thing
it.
there, that you mentioned is indirectly you really talked about managing your clients' expectations. Using that CEO analogy is, hey, we have some issues, but here's how we're going to resolve them. And so being upfront with your clients, especially if you're talking about listings, communicating with them throughout the process, as well as updating them about trends or finances or taxes or different implications that are going to affect your luxury market, being proactive and having those communications now. Many people are, predicting 2020 to be a softer year economy-wise, and I dare say recession. But are you having those conversations with your sellers now, being proactive, saying, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, all indications are the market might be a little bit softer in our price point. Do we want to be proactive, or do we want to be reactive and let the others sell and drag us down, or do we want to be on top of it and beat them to the punch and be on the offense?"
Yeah, no, exactly. You nailed it, Michael.
Well, good. Well, if anybody wants additional information on the Inman Luxury Conference or about the Inman Conference coming up in July, we talked about the 22nd to the 26th in Las Vegas at the Area Resort. Should they just Google it? Do they go to where should they go, Brad?
Well, go to Inman.com. Is my recommendation always. You'll see Connect Las Vegas right at the top, and that'll connect you to Las Vegas. And by the way, there's almost 5,000 people, 250 speakers, 90 sessions, dozens of hours of networking. That conference is going to be crazy, our biggest ever, and that's something that. You just see Connect right at the top of Inman. And you go to events, and you can go find luxury, which is very easy to find. But it's Inman.com/event in Luxury Connect. But you can find it just by going to the Inman page, and you'll get a lot of background about the event itself. And they do have a special going on right now on the pricing of luxury. And we do get the prices that we ask for. So, my recommendation is to jump in and make an investment. The Inman community has become a real community of support. We even have a lot of our readers and a lot of our customers who are dumping their coaching, if you can believe it, and using Inman four times a year to get that same. Our conferences, Michael, are very uplifting. They're very encouraging. There's lots of takeaways. It's very practical. It's honest. It's controversial. There's debates. There's discussions, but it's not a lot of rah-rah, hoopla, BS. It's really about the truth as best we can discern it, but we discern it from our people we put on stage, not ourselves as a media company. And a lot of people are saying that's what I need to be successful in real estate. So, it's more than just going to a conference. It's about a community of people supporting one another to be successful.
Well, you put it eloquently there, and you're absolutely right. I can attest for that. I appreciate everything you're doing for the industry, and continue to raise the bar, Brad. And again, there's some great free content out there as well. Inman Coast to Coast, it's a great Facebook group. You get to see some great content, and then hopefully you become an Inman member. I was just doing a training down in Coral Gables, as I mentioned, for the Coldwell Banker Island affiliates, and their agents get Inman as part of being a Coldwell Banker Island affiliate. That's something they've invested in, and they're a big believer in everything you're doing, and I just want to thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you in July. Again, if anybody wants to get more information on Inman, check out Inman.com. All the information is there. Brad, I appreciate your time today. My name is Michael LaFido. You're listening to another episode of Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. If you have any questions, shoot us an email at Michael@Marketing Luxury Group. Continue to raise the bar in real estate. And again, just one quick announcement. We did release some luxury gear. Check out LuxurySpecialsGear.com. My name is Michael LaFido. Remember, it's not the market, it's the marketing. Have an awesome day. Take care, everybody.